Welcome back to another video, guys. This one is going to be a lot more relaxed than normal. This is a kind of video that you would find on people's like Mark II's channel, but I don't have a big enough channel to warrant me having a Mark II channel or a second channel, so it's just going to be a relaxed video because all the things that I'm about to put into this one, they didn't warrant their own video. I couldn't make content into a video for each one, so I've just stuck them all together, and yeah, this is what we've got. Right, so today we're going to be cracking on with this H. I've already took the sim unit out, which I'll insert now. So I did have footage that I was going to insert here of me taking the sim unit out and taking it apart and stuff, but for some reason it's no longer on the GoPro, so I don't know what happened there, but when that comes back I'll add that into the video. So now we're on to taking the turbo off, because obviously we've got a bit of a coolant weep, and it's only small, but it's enough to see little bits of steam coming up once you turn it off. So I've just taken the 4 bolts out from underneath. You can see them on there. I'll insert pictures now so you can actually see where to put your extension and the 13mm socket. So next we've got to, obviously we'll leave those 4, they're all sort of finger tight, so they're ready to come off. I'm going to take this electrical connector off here for the boost solenoid, I think that is. Disconnect the downpipe, and then we're going to get underneath and I'll show you what we'll undo under there. Okay, so as I said, we've got the electrical connector disconnected from there. I've disconnected the downpipe just down there, and I've taken the bolts out from that corner and that corner, leaving these 2 just to hold it in place whilst we get under the car and undo some stuff down there. So now that we're underneath, yes, we've lost a little bit of coolant, pulled the wrong hose off, but there's basically that nut there. That one's the next one to be coming off. So looking at the back here, obviously exhaust manifold side, that there, I believe, is the coolant return. So the 2 gaskets on those, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but they've been changed, one on top, one underneath, the copper washers, and then that needs a new gasket on there, which is the oil return. And then if we flip her over, we've got, that's the gasket that was saying there's a new one on there. These 2 here, they've been changed, and there's 2 new ones on that top and bottom as well, which means we can now get this back on the car. And there you can see we are all back together. Is that done up? Well, okay, apart from that, but I'll ignore that for now. Downpipes on. The only thing I can't do at the minute is start it because I haven't got the sim unit back yet. Today's Saturday, it should be back Monday hopefully. So as soon as that's back on, then we can put that back on the car and get it started, and I can check for any leaks. But fingers crossed, that's okay. I'm changing the gearbox oil on the J. To do that, I didn't have to, but to make my life a little bit easier, taking all the battery out and the battery tray, and I've undone this plug here, which is the fill plug. Now, I've said it before in other videos, if you can't undo the fill plug, don't undo the drain plug, because, no, it's obvious, isn't it? You're going to be able to fit it back up. So I'll get underneath now, I'll show you where the drain plug is, and then we'll get the oil out of there and stick the new oil back in. The one thing I did forget to say, as I always do, that fill plug is a T50, and underneath the drain is a 8mm, and this is the stuff we are having to put back in. But 3 litres of the good stuff. I think you put 2.5 in to be sure. Let's do this. So I did forget to say, the reason that we're changing the gearbox oil is because when I'm sort of turning from left to right when the car's on, you can hear, it's either the pump whining or you can just hear a horrible creaking. Obviously it doesn't do it now, so I can't show you, but obviously I can show you that it doesn't do it now. So just pull off and you'll handbrake, you won't be able to hear it.
I was going to make the noise then.
You know, there's no noise, whereas before, if I'd have done that before, you'd hear, as I'm turning the steering wheel, whereas now it's not, so jobs are done. So one of the other problems that we have with the J is the outside air temperature sensor. On this middle screen here, just there you've got an icon and it doesn't have any numbers by it. I'm assuming that it is supposed to, but because my outside air temperature sensor's broken, the wires are broken, I'll show you in a minute. Basically they need to be fixed, so I'll take you outside and show you how we're going to do it. So I've just gone to get the temp sensor out to sort of show you and that, and realistically I need to take the front bumper off. I didn't really want to, and I could do it in situ, but I'm not going to be able to show you guys very well, so I'm going to take the front bumper off and just be easier for me to explain and show you what's going on. It comes off pretty quick, 4 bolts across the top, 3 in the wing each side, and it's off. Done a short on that, so if you need to see how to do it in more depth, you can have a look at that. So here we have the 2 wires, and as you can see, that one down there, that would have been extremely difficult to sort of try and get that one back together, and I have no idea how to repin these things. So yeah, what I've done is bought a separate loom, and that's gonna basically splice into there and give us our temp sensor that we need. So I said earlier that they're the same sensor. They're not actually the same. So there you can see this is the one off the J, and this is the one that came on the loom, and this was from a H. So they are actually slightly different, and that matters because of fitting into the back of the grill there. However, if you take the one off the J and the one off the H, the plugs themselves are slightly different, but they do fit into each other. So like I say, this was the one off the J, and it's going to fit into the new loom because the connector on the back fits in just as well. So I'm hoping that that is going to be okay. And this one obviously does fit into the J loom, even though it's a H. So although they are the same, just need to be careful because the this part, the casing around the actual sensor, is slightly different, but they do fit connector wise. So I'm going to chop this one off here, use my wire snippers to cut a bit off, same on there, just tie them together, check to see if it works. If it works, we can go ahead and shrink wrap everything up, heat shrink, sorry. So yeah, let's crack on. So I've got those twisted together. It is literally just for 2 seconds while we go in the cab and make sure it's working. So jumped in car, hopefully we now get a reading on the dash. Yeah buddy. Turn that off. Yeah, we got a reading of 12 degrees, kids. So that means now we can go back outside, heat shrink it all up, tape it all up, and that is a job ticked off the list. Heat shrunk, taped up individually, and double taped over the whole thing, so that should be my repair good as new. There you go, you can see reading 14 degrees on the screen, so that is another job ticked off the list. One of the other things I've got is a thermostat, so I've got a new thermostat here, and I've got a coolant temp sensor coming later this week, so I'll add that in as well, because again I'm not going to be able to put them into a video on their own, so we'll fit that and the coolant temp sensor. The reason I'm doing that is because I don't know if I've got an airlock, but when I'm driving I can be cruising steadily down the motorway or the highway, sat in 6th gear, just literally cruising, doing 60 miles an hour, and the temperature will rise all the way up to like 100 sometimes. Obviously when I'm sat still it will rise to 105 and then the fans kick in, but I don't know, because I don't know if it's an airlock or what, but I just have a feeling it's a sticky thing that I just mentioned, thermostat, so that's why I'm changing that. And obviously the temp sensor just goes with it, doesn't it? So change that as well, at least then I know it's being changed. So I've changed the temperature sensor, this is the old one, and if you ever need to do it, where you've got obviously your engine, you come right down the back of here, try and squeeze you in, you see my extension there. If you follow it back underneath the lambda sensor and behind this part of the coolant system, it's just down there. If I move out of the way, you might be able to see it. Yep, there it is, just there, that grey thing, that is where it is. So right down the back, and the thermostat is behind, well, it's inside that bit there, So obviously I've taken a lot out just to give myself better access. You might not have to do all of that, but I have, just to make life easier. So that is that checked off the list, and 2 more things that I now have changed that should help improve the running of this car. So the car's all back together now, and I've obviously added coolant, but once I run the car up to temperature and the thermostat opens, it's going to allow obviously the coolant to flow through, so that is going to need topping up. Now I know these are notoriously difficult to bleed, so I'm going to try my best, and it's probably going to take more than 1 attempt, but we'll just have to give it a go. I forgot to mention the thermostat I had to get from my mate James at MPX, link in description for them as always, because Vauxhall wouldn't sell me a thermostat for this. They said they couldn't get one, but they did get the coolant temp sensor. Put those down there, show you the part numbers. So that's obviously the one for the thermostat, sorry, the coolant temp sensor, and then that was the one for the thermostat. So if you guys want to get yourselves one, there you go, you can use those. So anyway, let's start this car up, and hopefully everything's okay and we get this video finished off. Wow, I've just been for a drive and we have great success. The coolant temperature is at 88 now. Usually after a drive that I've just done and then coming and sitting for 2 minutes loading my camera up, it would be on 97, 98, maybe even more, whereas now it's just gone up to 89, but so far I haven't seen it go above, so I'd take that as a win. So yesterday when I was filming, I said this weren't going to come back to on Monday, and when I went back into the house it was here, so I'm going to stick it on and try and remember how all of this goes back together. But obviously this just goes over the clock spring, well, the centre of it, the clock spring goes over there is what I was trying to say, and then I'll just grab the screws from up there and show you where they go. Just don't forget there's an electrical connector there, and then there is actually 2 contact points, so you've got one there and one there, and obviously they relate to the back of there, so make sure they go in as well. 3 screws I was talking about are there, there, and one under there, and they are at T10, and basically they're really long screws and they go through the plastic bit into the metal casing at the back to obviously hold the unit secure. Next up we've got 3 bolts, and they go there, there's one there, and then there's one underneath, which if you feel around underneath you might not see it. Yeah, you can just about see the hole there, and they are a T20. Then we're going to go ahead and stick 2 Phillips head screws into that hole, and then there are little covers just there to make them flat again basically. So I've just pushed the steering wheel on and made sure to bring this connector through. Then there's this wire here that connects to the steering wheel wiring loom. That just needs to plug back into that connector in there. So I've loosely put all of this back, as you can see. I've not even put the wheel nut in just yet because I don't know if I've got those 2 connectors I was just talking about in the right place or not. So I'm going to go to the engine bay, connect the battery, and hope that it doesn't beep at me like it did before. Right, so this could go wrong or it might be okay. Well, it's not going off, so that's always a good thing. Hopefully that's in the right place then. We do have horn. It has to be connected, touching. We do have a horn. There we go. So the horn, basically what I'd sent the sim unit off to get repaired has been repaired. So SMD Monkey, thank you very much. Link in the description for him. Hopefully everything else is okay. I'm going to put this back together properly with the steering wheel bolt and everything else, and then start it for the first time in weeks and hope that that turbo doesn't leak. Right, so that's all back together now. Basically what I'm going to do is disconnect this here, which is obviously for the core packs, so that the turbo can cycle through the coolant and the oil just to get it built up again, because I did lose a little bit. So I'll get it back through the lines and then we can start it properly. So go on, try it. Okay, that'll do. So that should do it. So let's move that so it doesn't fall off again. Connect this up and then basically we'll do that again. Right, okay. Go on then, hand, give it a start. So far nothing's dripping. Good sign. Oh, there we are. What are we dripping? Oil, fuck. That could be a little bit. Turn it off. Oh no, I have to jack the car up. So basically it was that bolt there was just that little bit too loose. So I've done that up with, what is that? T45. The smoke you can see coming off it now is just because it's been handled and, you know, dribbled out and stuff like that. So that will burn off. There was a little couple of drips just down there, I don't know if you'll see them. Just down there that came off it after. But I think that was just a bit of residual coming off from when it dripped before. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that to warm up for a little bit, let all this clear off, and then see if we are still leaking anywhere. That is back together now, and so far so good. I'll check the oil tomorrow when it's obviously had a chance to settle for a bit, so I just took it out for a quick drive up the road. Everything seems fine, boosting well. It didn't at first because, like an idiot, I forgot to plug the boost solenoid in and the vac line that goes to the reset valve, so it was fluttering like a turkey on heat, but it's all sorted now. So hopefully that will be okay. I'm going to end it here because I think that is pretty much all that I can do for this time. So thank you very much for watching. See you very soon.